Today we're going to be installing front and rear sway bars on my EK and find out if they actually do make you quicker. On EX and SI models, I believe they do come with a front sway bar, but not a rear, and I think the SI comes with a rear sway bar. This is a DX, so I have neither. For the front, I went to pick apart, found a Civic with a front sway bar, and I pulled the front sway bar as well as the lower control arms. I had to get the lower control arms because on mine it did not have this hole for the sway bar to go in. And for the rear, I went with this beautiful Progress sway bar. So I think I'm going to start with the rear as it's a little bit easier. So first things first, this bolt and this bolt need to come off. So with the stock bolts out, we're going to replace them with these guys over here, and I believe we're using the longer spacers and these washers, and we mount this guy. Now we lube these bad boys. Squeeze it into the end. So I was watching a video on how to do this, and I was wondering why he left the lower control arm off, and I am seeing why now. So why you take this arm off is because it is kind of hard to put the nut in with this in the way. So I'm going to go ahead and take this back off. So now I have both the arms dropped, and I kind of threaded it loosely back in there. And I'm going to try and do what I tried to do the first time again. Spacer goes in there, and then and that's how you do that, baby. Okay, so now that goes in. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that to the other side. No need to show you guys, it's the same thing. Alright, so now I have both sides bolted. It is time to move on to the sway bar end links. We want to thread these to 85 millimeters. 85. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. And that is as tight as I want to go. So I have fully installed the rear sway bar. After you get the first end link in, it's kind of a pain to get the second one in. I ended up pushing on the sway bar till this went in, and that's how I ended up doing it. Now time to move on to the front. Undo the fork and this bolt over here, as well as these bolts and this bolt. And the lower control arm should just pop out. So that's the next bolt. That's what I'm going for. Alright, this bolt is out. Alright, so both sides of the arms are off. Now, let's see if I can work it free. So I ended up breaking this off with, I believe it's called a ball joint tool. Now I'm going to try and pull this guy off again. Probably not the proper way. After a little bit of persuasion, this arm is off. Now to install the other one. Alright, so breaking this down, it's a nut. Then a top hat, then a bushing, and then the sway bar comes off, and then this guy and this guy. Alright, so it's been about like 30 minutes and I pretty much got it all in. So what I ended up having to do was I bolted loosely that side, then I lightly threaded in this side, then I used a thread over here, and using a hammer I hammered it till this fell kind of into place. So I'm gonna finish putting all the bolts back on, catch up with you guys tomorrow when there's more light, and show you on the other side and connecting the sway bar. So it's been like 2 days since I got to work on this thing because it was raining, but I'm back at it, and this side came out a lot easier than the other side, which leads me to believe that the other side was bent. But it makes sense because this looks a lot nicer. So unless your car is a little banged up like mine is, it should be pretty easy for you to get the control arm out. Alright, so it's not coming off of here now. It goes here. That one's got some good. Okay. Wow. That was a lot better. I just had to put the sway bar on, and that's pretty much it. So I gotta remove the exhaust temporarily and the shifter bushing thing, and it should slide in. So I don't forget, I'm gonna put the bottom bushing parts in before I put the sway bar in. This guy goes like that on top of there. Since these bushings are off an OE car, I'm going to re-grease them before installing. I kind of have the sway bar mocked up where it's kind of supposed to go, and I realize that this guy has to come off as well, so I'm going to take that off real quick. So yeah, just replace it with a bolt and a nut. Slide that guy off. So now I got the sway bar kind of in place on both sides, so I will put the top parts on this first and then bolt the braces after. And so after tightening one side fully, this one went in way easier, which makes sense. Of course, once the work is done, the cat shows up. It's not even my cat, this is a neighbor's cat. So it's been a few months since I installed both sway bars, and I have a track day under my belt now. The sway bars do completely change the way that the car reacts. It was more planted than it was before, is the easiest way to put it. And it is more rear happy from the way I have it set up. I know that is better for time attack, but out on my track day, that was a little bit to get used to. I guess I was more adjusted to the old setup of the car than I expected, so I did not beat my personal best. I think I ran a 135 that day, and my best is like a 34 or 32, so I was a little disappointed in that. I also ran into some issues unrelated to the sway bars with the car. Ultimately, I had a bad alternator. My goal is to get at least a 130 out of this thing at Streets of Willow, because I know it has it in it. It should have more than that, but I need to do that with it set up how it is to improve as a driver. So I will be posting more on this car doing that. But before that, I have to update you guys on the R18 build. I've made a lot of progress. So much progress that this K is ready to come out and meet its new home. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.